Okay, my name is James Roselle. I'm going to talk a little bit about how I got to making violins and mandolins, and so about the process of how you make one. Back in the 1970s or so, I did a lot of wood carving. I really wanted to make replicas of fine furniture, but I got sidetracked into three-dimensional carving. I carved a chess set, some other three-dimensional objects, and made some furniture, did some carving on them, like flowers and stuff. And when my daughter Ruthie was about 9 years old, her birthday was coming up, and she came up with a bright idea. She wanted to learn to play the violin. So she had never mentioned it before. I didn't pay a lot of attention, but she kept after me. So I finally told her, well, her birthday was coming up, and if she wanted to, I'd get her a violin and a violin teacher and give her some violin lessons. So she said she wanted to do that. So after we were into violin, and she started taking lessons, and I got to look at that violin, and without really thinking about it before, I guess I thought that the curvature of the top of the violin was like the way this is curved, this curvature of the side and everything. I never thought about it, but I got to look at that violin, and I realized that it was carved that way. So I thought, well, I could do that. And so I went and found a book. I went to some libraries and found a book that showed the inside of a violin, how it was constructed. Found a place to mail order some wood. So I ordered some wood and made one. And it turned out pretty good. And Ruth's teacher played it and thought it was great. So it was a pretty interesting project, so I made another one. Kept at it until I'd made about 10 or 11, I guess, violins before I switched over to mandolins. Okay, what I have here is the violin that I've started, which shows, you can see the outline of the mold, how it fits in on the inside of the violin, and where these blocks I talked about are glued in here. Then the sides are bent and glued to the blocks, not to the mold. And the blocks are only glued to the bottom half of the mold, not the top. So at this point, I've already taken the top half of the mold out. So that's the surface around there that the top and the back will glue to. So once the top, you make the top first. Once the top is glued on, then I'll break the blocks loose from the mold and pull it. And you bend these sides by getting them wet, soaking them in water, then bending them over a hot iron. And when it has to be really hot, when the wet wood hits that iron, it makes steam, and it softens the wood and allows you to bend it in these shapes. So basically, you bend these sides. I mean, there's one piece here, there's a piece here, and then another piece here. They're joined together in the back. So you essentially have 6 pieces, the 3 on each side that you make. So you put those all together on this mold and glue. You put spruce blocks in here and cut them to this pointed shape. Then you glue the sides on all around, and then you can take the top half of that mold. Remember, it's 2 pieces of. You make the top first. So you got the mold. You put the sides on. You take half of it out. Put the linings in. Then you make the top, and you're going to glue the top on first. The top and the back are made the same way. The top is made out of spruce. The back is made out of maple. But it basically starts with a piece. If you can imagine having this is the center of the tree. Cut a pie shape like this into the center of the tree to get a piece of wood that's shaped like this on the end. That is thicker in this dimension than in this dimension. Then you saw it vertically in half, so that you got 2 pieces, and you open them up and glue them together like that to make one wide piece that is 3/4 of an inch so in the middle, thick in the middle, and about 1/4 inch on each side. So it's like 2 of these glued together. Then you take and the outline, the sides that you have, and you put them on here, and you draw the outline of the fiddle, cut out roughly, leaving some room for error, the shape of the fiddle on this bandsaw it out, and then you just carve the top. You've got that piece of wood, and you just carve this shape here. You know, this sort of rounded up this way and rounded around on the ends too. The purfling in the side is primarily for decorations. You have to cut a little channel in there and then embed this stuff in there. The glue that violins are held together with is a hide glue made out of animal hides, which melts at about 140 degrees. So if you leave one in the back seat of your car during the summertime, you'll come back and find a bunch of pieces. You know, so like I said, I made about 10 or 11 violins. And what I really started out wanting to do was to build a mandolin. But since my wife played the violin and I needed to buy a bunch of tools, I made the deal with her that I'd build a fiddle first. So it turned out to build about 11 of them, I guess. I wanted to build a mandolin because that's one I wanted to play. I mean, this is one that I've had for about 12 years, one of the number 3 or 4 that I built. I wanted to do all this inlay, this mother of pearl inlaid stuff on here. And the violin players don't like that on their violins. But guitar players, mandolin players, it's attractive to. And so I designed my own patterns and cut mother of pearl out and inlay it in to do all this. Construction of a mandolin is essentially the same as a violin. The steps are the same, the wood's the same. Spruce top, maple back, sides, and neck. Ebony fingerboard. Of course, the difference being the mandolin has frets on it. But the mandolin has double strings on each position, but it's tuned the same as the violin, G, D, A, and E. So even though you play it with a pick, the fingering to play something essentially the same. So when I started making mandolins, I've made about 16 mandolins, I think, up to now.